today. Hey there, this is Jeff Reeves. I'm the editor of InvestorPlace.com. I'm here with Charles Sizemore, the editor of Macro Trend Investor. Charles, we had a big Microsoft event this week. Surface Pro 3 came out. It's Microsoft's next big step in a mobile age. It's actually pretty good. It's got a little bit of buzz around it. It's not that bad of a gadget, right? But more importantly, does it make a difference?
Well, to answer the first question, it's a fantastic product. This, hardware-wise, this is leaps and bounds ahead of the iPad. To start, it runs a full version of Windows, so anything you can do on a PC or a laptop, you can do that on the Surface. You can actually use it effectively as a computer replacement. If you buy a docking station, you can even set up like a multi-monitor setup. You can add keyboard and mouse. This thing is powerful enough to replace a computer. That's the upside. The downside, let's start with the obvious. It just doesn't have an Apple logo on it, which for anything the tablets fear, that's an immediate strike against it. Apple really does have a lot of loyalty among tablet users, but a bigger problem there is that tablet sales are actually slowing right now. I mean, they're still growing, they're still positive. But if you recall Apple's last earnings release, Apple knocked the ball out of the park, except with iPad sales. iPad sales were a big disappointment, a big black hole in an otherwise great earnings report. So Microsoft is really coming to market with a fantastic product at exactly the wrong time, right when tablet sales are slowing. The other issue is of course price. The Surface is a fantastic machine, but you pay up for it. It starts at about $800.
So, well, let me back up a bit. I buy the argument that tablets are not going to be up forever, and that we are kind of seeing a flattening there. But the idea as a PC replacement, you got to sell me on the idea that people are actually replacing their PCs, right? I mean, the narrative that we've been told is that PCs are going away. No businesses are buying PCs. Certainly, no consumers are. So even if it's a PC replacement, who wants to replace their laptop anyway, right?
Well, there's a couple things there. When they're in their launch, whatever it was, presentation, I guess I should say, they targeted the MacBook Air, the laptop, the MacBook Air, as much as they targeted the iPad. So I thought that was interesting. They're really seeing this as a competitor for both. But back to your original question about are people even using PCs anymore? It's funny. That segment really got right-sized. When you had tablets come out, that was a new thing. People liked it. It enabled them to stretch out their existing computers a lot longer rather than upgrade every, say, 2 years. Maybe they upgrade every 4. Let's also not forget, in the business world, with unemployment being what it is, there's a lot less computers being bought for workers that are sitting at home, basically. And companies have been stretching out everything they can over the last couple of years. Those computers, maybe they would have replaced them by now normally, but they're trying to stretch out, get a little more tread on those tires, just stretch it out a little bit longer. So, so what we're actually seeing is PC sales are actually showing some strength right now. After years of showing just complete weakness, they're actually showing some strength as corporate customers finally start to upgrade. And as consumers, maybe they have that iPad already. They say, okay, I have this iPad. I use it for books, for web browsing. I have some really cool apps on it. But it's only a year old, and I can probably get another year or two out of it before I upgrade. But my PC that has a much bigger hard drive that I use for, I don't know, doing Word docs or something, that's a little bit long in the tooth. Maybe I need to replace that. So bottom line, PC sales are probably going to be flat, slightly positive this year, as opposed to being like massively in decline like they have the last couple. Whereas tablet sales will grow faster than PC sales, but they are definitely slowing.
So is this then kind of a narrative like automakers, where it's an industry that really got kind of battered just because of a shift that it really didn't have any control over? But there's pent-up demand. Vehicles are old. You got to drive. Is that the bull case for Microsoft, that maybe things aren't as bad as you think they are for kind of enterprise tech?
Well, that's part of the bullish argument for sure. I think you will see a boost in Windows licenses coming up from PC sales showing some strength. That I do believe. But Microsoft's bigger story is Office. The Office franchise has never been stronger. That's doing great. New CEO Nadella is making that available on products where it's never been available before, such as iOS devices. Well, I guess it's been on the iPhone for a while, but I digress. It's he's making that more broadly available, and their corporate business has never been stronger either. So Microsoft, I think, is still a buy. It's had a great run over the last year, But I think it's still a good buy. It pays a great dividend. They're raising that dividend. It's not a cheap stock anymore, but it's not expensive either. I think, given what you had to choose from these days in the U.S. stock market, Microsoft's looking pretty good to me.
Yeah, even now, I mean, if you look at a lot of these other tech stocks that have crumbled, whether or not they're the 3D printers or the cloud computing stocks, I mean, it is kind of telling, right, that these boring old stocks like Microsoft have actually, in Intel too, it should be noted, a dividend-paying kind of old guard tech stock. It's kind of hung tough while your Twitters and Amazons of the world have imploded, right? So, are you comfortable buying at this level, or are you waiting and sitting on Microsoft for a little while?
I already own it, and I would be comfortable buying more. And to speak on what you just said, they have a business model. The Twitters and Facebooks of the world, they're still, well, I guess Facebook does have a business model. It's a new business model, and they're still ironing out the details, but they have a business model. Twitter doesn't have a business model. I mean, they really do not have a revenue model. Their model right now is, we're going to cover our bills by selling more stock, or we're going to pay our people by just issuing more stock. Let's just dilute our shareholders in order to keep the lights on. That's not a business model. I don't know what that is.
Microsoft, the alternative is all they do is they suck up their own stock, right? They take that gigantic cash load that they have and they just buy back shares like nobody business. It kind of is the other side of the coin.
It is the other side of the coin. Microsoft has a proven business model. They make money hand over fist, and they reward their shareholders. I don't see anything not to like there.
No, that's a good story, and one that maybe isn't being told. We'll check back in, and we'll see actually at the end of the year where we stand on PC sales and Microsoft. Thanks, Charles.
You bet.